Hello, my loves. Thank you for joining me, Casandra MacAlan, for a live Q&A today and some playful fun reviewing my personal manifestation, meditation, affirmation, and inspiration board. I have learned after doing these lives that Facebook is on a delay, and because of that, a lot of time I don't get to see your questions until after I've signed off. So I decided to go over why I chose some of the words that I have on my board, which I posted in the comments, so hopefully you can see, to give you all some time to ask any questions you might have. And to give you a little history on me, I have a background in traditional Chinese medicine, Western psychology, body mind medicine, meditation, shamanism, spiritual channeling, chronic pain management, body work, and autoimmune disease, to name some of the fun things that I have studied and been in practice for the past 22 years. So, if you have any questions about mental, emotional, physical, or spiritual pain or dis-ease, which simply means feeling a lack of ease, then I am your woman. And I work with clients online and in person, and I run a beginning and intermediate course for women on how to free themselves from pain. So feel free to ask anything that's on your mind today, and I will do my best to answer it and to help you out. And while I'm giving Facebook a chance to catch up, I'm going to share my current vision board with you all just for fun. So every year, I, like many of you, I believe, make a vision board. And I do this in different ways. Sometimes it's more image based, and sometimes, like this one, it's more word or phrase based because I use these quotes or thoughts to help me when I'm really in a difficult space or looking for a way to find a deeper connection with myself or find inspiration. So if you don't make a vision board or a manifestation board, I highly recommend it. It's really easy to do and it can be super powerful. So feel free to use any of my quotes. So one of the quotes that I have up in the top left is allowed to be loud. And I chose this because as a cis woman in this world, I was kind of raised in a way that made me feel like my voice was not something that people wanted to hear, specifically men, and that it would be better if I was quiet or shy or retiring or subtle or soft, of which I'm not often any of those things, to be completely honest. So I use that to remind myself that perfection ruins distinction, which is another quote of mine. And it reminds me that it's okay to be loud and it's okay to be raw and it's okay to be real. And that's especially important on a situation like going live where people are seeing me and it's always kind of stressful. So I then have a phrase that says, make yourself proud. And what that means to me is I think that ultimately, whether or not you have a faith, at the end of the day, when we're laying in bed and we're getting ready to go to sleep and we're reviewing our life and our day, I feel that the person we really need to make ourselves proud of is us. And I like to ask myself every night, was I a good me? And to me, that means, did I express myself through thought or word or deed in the ways that best reflect who I want to be in this world? So I am always seeking to be my own hero. I have the phrase a little better every day. It reminds me that growth isn't made in these huge leaps and bounds necessarily, that sometimes it's all about the journey, right? And what we really need to focus on is just being a little better, being us every day. I like to think of our spiritual journey, our emotional journey, our mental journey to health and wellness being kind of like a spring laid on its side. So we understand that even as we're going forward, sometimes there's going to be that fall back and then forward and fall back and forward and fall back. And so when you feel like you're falling back, just remember you've still gone quite a ways. So Be scared and do it anyway. Well, that really speaks to the fact that before COVID, my practice was entirely in person and I didn't do anything online. And so being online every Monday, trying to go live with you, doing workshops and master classes, this is really nerve wracking for me. I feel like, if I teach a class in person, which I've taught classes all over the world, and if I teach a class in person, well, that's one and done, right? But doing this on live, well, this can be seen again and again and again. And if I look weird or I say something weird, unfortunately, it's forever on the interwebs. So I like to remind myself to be scared and do it anyway. We are all connected. That's also on my board. I believe that human beings all share a collective consciousness. And whether that's just through the lives we're currently living or whether that transcends time, and it means that we are all connected from the beginning and the origin of our species through past lives or current lives or future lives, I nonetheless believe that we are all one, and that when we act in a way that's not in accordance with our greatest and highest good, it makes us feel bad, because anything that we might say or do to someone else is really something that we're doing to ourselves. Just like you may have found that some of the things you most find frustrating in people in your lives or people that you love are things that you most find frustrating in yourself, because we're all connected. So another phrase I have is good things take time. Also a reminder that nothing is built in a day and that it is about the journey and not the destination. So it's okay if working on yourself seems like a lot of work sometimes and seems to be taking a long time. Being scared means you're about to do something really brave. I love that phrase because I am always working on my own evolution. So I can not only be up to date in the latest processes on how to heal, but so I can continue to heal myself. Because if I'm not healthy, then I can't continue to offer healthy work to the people that really matter to me, which is you and all of my clients. So I am capable of achieving anything I put my mind to. I think that's a good reminder, because if we want to grow, then we know we have to change. And in order to change, we have to do something that we're not necessarily comfortable with and is not necessarily something we've done before or we're necessarily good at. So reminding yourself that you're capable of achieving anything you put your mind to, I think is super important. Another phrase that's not on my board that I love that this reminds me of is, you're never going to be any younger than you are today. So you might as well go out and do great things. Okay, so that's a little bit. I think that's just the top 8th of my board. So let me see if any comments have caught up with me. And if so, I will answer them. I would appreciate having these thoughts written down to read again. So you should be able to see them in the event posting in my live. But if you can't, let me see if I can post it right now for you somewhere in this chat group. I don't know if it will take a post of this nature. Let's see if it does. Let's see if it'll let me put it there. No. All right, let's see if it'll let me put it there. No. See, this is why sometimes this is stressful. Let's see if this will let me put it somewhere. Yeah, I don't think it's going to let me do that. So hopefully you can see it in the comments of the event posting, and that will let you see it. And when we're done, I will absolutely put this in my Facebook group where you all are at now, and you will be able to see it there. So let's see. Okay. Desiree, my sister, says, I have been grinding my teeth at night lately so bad I wake up and I can barely open my mouth. Thoughts on what I need to release? I don't know. Not as stressed as I have been, so not sure why this is happening so much lately. It's a great question, and one that I struggle with too. So maybe it's hereditary. So I'm going to give you a couple of thoughts about what you can do to decrease this likelihood, and then a couple of things you can do for the jaw pain, because I think a lot of people are probably grinders. So one of the things you can do to reduce the pain that you have is to clench your jaw. And if you notice when you clench, you feel these muscles here, they're called masseter muscles, and they'll kind of bulge. So when you clench, find the center of that muscle and press in on both sides while your mouth is just relaxed. And continue that pressure enough that you can feel it, but not so much that you have to stop, for 1 to 3 minutes. And what that does is it takes that muscle belly, and by pressing into it directly, it helps reduce its need to stay in a state of contraction. So it kind of causes a sense of muscle exhaustion. Like if you have a cramp, which is your muscle tightening, right? You can press into that cramp until the muscle finally goes, all right, I give up. So that's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do, and this is going to look really weird on camera, but I do it, is you want to do something called cross-fibering the masseter attachments. And so right under your jaw, right here, you can feel this is where that masseter muscle attaches. And when your jaw is really tight, take a deep breath. And as you slowly release, go back and forth with your fingers across the muscle. And you want to do this like fast and fairly deep so you can actually feel it. And then when you're done, after that slow exhale, drag your fingers down the sides of your face, and that will help reduce some of that tightness. Because when your jaw is super tight, as you know, it causes a lot of pain. It can refer to your neck. It can give you headaches. So that's another thing you can do. If it's really bad, I would recommend either releasing your petragoids, which is by putting a finger all the way back into your mouth, where between your molars, and pressing in on that area. That also is contracted and it can cause grinding. That's kind of hard to do for a lot of people because it can be really painful, but you can go see someone like myself and they will put a glove on and they can go in there and release it for you. Lastly, you can check with your dentist and see if your jaw is out of alignment. Recently, my daughter went to the dentist and found out that her jaw made like an S curve when she closed it. So sometimes if your jaw is out of alignment, you can go see an osteopath, and osteopaths are kind of trained in how to rework the bones of the head and face to help them go back into alignment too. So anyways, you can tell that I have a bodywork background. That's a lot. But what could be causing it? Well, some people could say that our jaw acts often like the portcullis of a castle, that part that slams down on the drawbridge. And by doing so, it keeps us biting back what we want to say. So if you have a lot of things that you want to say, maybe to a boss, to a lover, a family member, a child, and you are not saying them, that can cause a lot of restriction and constriction that at night can come out as your jaw is trying to say all those things. So what would I recommend? Keep a journal by your bedside. Before you go to bed, write it all down. Write it on your phone if you don't keep a journal, but get it out of your head so you don't have to grind your way through it, right? Because grinding our teeth, it's like grinding through life. So I hope that helps, sis. I love seeing you here. Okay, let me see if there's any other questions. You are so amazing. Thanks, Susan. Love that concept. Gives further insight on understanding others. I'm glad. Practice that before bed every night. I recommend that anybody who has difficulty sleeping, like myself, grinding teeth, or just stress, Keep a journal by your bedside. Write all that stuff down. Get it out of your head so you can kind of take that deep breath and relax into the fact that you're safe, that everything is already working out, and that everything's going to be okay. And if you write it all down, then you don't have to remember it, right? So sometimes that can ease stress, tension, head, neck, jaw, all the good stuff. Karma said, I found the quotes by clicking on the Free the Wisdom to Heal the Body Facebook page. It's right under the link to this live at the top of the page. Yay. For anyone who couldn't find it, the link to the page is found on Cassandra's personal page. Thank you, darling. Helps big time. Was doing those physical exercises with you. Good. Been thinking I need to journal a lot lately. I'll start tonight. Love you. Thank you. You're very, very welcome. And again, sometimes our jaws are just that kind of stop that we make before we're speaking our heart's truth, because that's what this is about, right? The ability to speak our thoughts and our emotions. And if we don't feel free or safe to do that, well, then we can kind of grind down on it. Okay, well, I don't see any other questions. That doesn't mean there isn't any other questions. Oh, wait, here's one. Yay. Okay. Susie writes, my husband gets headaches a lot. Do you recommend anything? Wow. Well, Susie, that is a really big question. In fact, in traditional Chinese medicine, headaches are almost under every element that an imbalance can be found. And as I'm sure he knows, in physical medicine, there is so many causal or connected events that can cause someone headaches. That it's really hard to find a one-size-fits-all treatment. It's almost like dieting, right? Just because that worked for your friend doesn't mean it's going to work for your body. So some things that I would recommend. I would check to see where his headaches are generally located. If they're around an eye socket, it can often be related to vision. If he's on the computer a lot, maybe he needs some blue light glasses, or he may need to do a 20-20-20. Every 20 minutes, look 20 feet away for 20 seconds. These things are very helpful for vision pain and headaches caused by staring at the blue light all day. I would recommend definitely, if they were around his eyes or his temples, then he takes some time away from the screen, televisions, phones, etc., and do something else like read a book, because sometimes this can be cumulative, so we don't even notice it right away. If he's having a temporal headache, then you can do one of the things I recommended, which is a cross fibering, but instead of on the masseter attachment, you're going to do it on the temple. So you can do this for him, and I do it for my partner because he gets headaches a lot. And what I do is I just come up behind him and I do this. And I don't even know if you can hear this, but I go back and forth on these veins and on this tissue, because between your skin and your skull is fascial tissue, right? There's muscular tissue. That's why we can do this. So that tissue, when it gets tight, can cause headaches that are kind of here. So there's also points that you can hold that sometimes in acupressure can be very helpful. Some are at the base of the eyebrows. These can really help for those headaches where that makes somebody go like this. You know, you see somebody kind of pinching the bridge of their nose. So at the base of the eyebrows, these are also going to be held just like these points, 1 to 3 minutes, with enough pressure that you can feel it, but not enough that you have to stop yourself. And then also so at the base of the eyebrows, there's little divots that you can find. I'm looking in this camera trying to see. And also where your eyes, kind of your tear ducts are in there. And generally, if someone's suffering from headaches there, they'll be very tender. So if he touches himself here or here and you touch him there, he might go, oh, ow. So that's a good sign. Also at the end of the eyebrows, little points. Here in the temples are points. And there's a little divot in the orbital bone. You can feel it. It feels like a little tiny V. Those are good points to hold as well as 1 finger width above the center of the pupil. So right about here is a little divot. If that's tender on him, have him hold that as well. So that's frontal headaches, right? If you're looking at somebody who's got more temporal headaches, this cross fibering of the temples can be very beneficial, as well as head rubs. And if it's back at the occipital notch or the occipital ridge is where your skull meets your neck flesh, that is usually neck tension. And that can be due to a lot of things, right? What kind of occupation does he have? Like, what does he do? Is he uptight a lot? So something like that, a general massage or one of these maneuvers where you take your hands and you place them on your upper trapezius as far back as you can reach. You dig in and then you slowly pull forward with some tension. And if you're doing this with me, you might notice you feel a little bit of relief. Something else you can do is hold your shoulders up like this to your ears for an inhale. And hold. And hold. And then release. And then rotate your neck. And that sometimes can bring a feeling of ease and can ease some of this pressure. The other thing that causes a lot of headaches is our scalenes. And that front area gets really tight. It's what kind of holds the neck up. And when we do a lot of looking down, which we do nowadays, this can get overly tight. And then the muscles on the back of your neck get overly loose and respond by restricting back, kind of like a rubber band. And so that can cause tension. So that's the physical. Mental, generally headaches are due to things we just can't wrap our freaking head around, right? There's so much going on in our lives. We don't know how to make space for it. We don't know how to make sense of it. We don't know how to clear it. And the journaling before bed thing can be very helpful as well. And then obviously, if none of these tools seem to work, then one of the other things I would recommend is taking a look into his diet. There's something called MRT, inflammation testing, which I highly recommend. And that can help you find out what foods are more inflammatory, not the same as allergic, because allergic is from your taste buds, right? And things you ingest versus inflammation testing is testing through your blood. And so there could be something in his diet that he's having a histamine reaction to. And that histamine reaction can be causing headaches. Women suffer it a lot. Women tend to get headaches related to things like wine, chocolate, processed foods, also nitrates and nitrites, things like meats like lunch meats, hot dogs, smoked meats, things like this. Aged cheeses can bring on headaches for people. Also, it can be hormonal. So there's so much on it, but things that will absolutely help no matter what kind of headache it is loving touch, releasing some tension points, it's staying super hydrated, and having a journal or meditation practice, because that helps you find space to release some of the stress that you hold. So I sympathize with him. My partner struggles with them, and so I'm working on him a lot. Okay, let's see. Oh, he was listening too. It's great advice. He likes the massage advice. Yes, as yes you should. So, you can do it yourself, giving yourself good neck massage. And anytime you start to feel tension, just get in there and pinch it. Like, this doesn't look great on television, or on camera, but it's super helpful. Pulling forward your trapezius, rotating your shoulders forward and back and forward, and just taking a break from whatever it is you're doing and stretching. You can pull your head down side to side, hold and breathe, of course, and then hydrate. We're all horribly dehydrated as a people. So hopefully that answers some questions. We did this in yoga today. Oh, good. That's wonderful. Okay, I know I'm running over time, but I'm going to give a couple more people, because I always feel bad at the end of my live. I go on and people are like, hey, I had a question. I'm like, I don't know why I didn't see you. So a couple more quotes. Self-care isn't selfish. I want to say, especially for women, we've really been taught, and everyone has really been taught, that taking care of yourself is a selfish act, right? I've said before that no mother, for instance, was ever applauded for caring for herself. She never is. She's applauded for caring for others, for her children. And you could say the same thing about a father or a husband. Never applauded for really taking care of themselves, right? I mean, mental health care, especially in this country for men, is almost non existent, and they are not supported to receive it. So that is a good reminder to me that I need to take care of myself. And sometimes self care looks like what I call not doing anything, right? Just being and being okay with it. What else do I have? Eat healthy, listen to your gut, really important things, because as somebody who struggled with gastrointestinal issues, especially when I had an autoimmune disease, I have learned that I really have to eat for my body and not just for my mouth. And mouth eating is something that we do a lot in this country. We really eat for how it feels on our taste buds versus sometimes how it is in our organs. So I think that's a really good thing to remember. Slow down. If you're like me, you might always be going too fast and too hard. And so that's a really good reminder for me that everything that's important and everything that I love and everything that I want is still there. That I don't have to rush through my life, because really, what are we rushing towards? Death? Like, let's all slow the frick down. I think possibly one of the only things, and maybe people will be upset by this, came out of COVID is that we all had to really slow down. And the illness itself slowed us down, and the change in our world slowed us down. And I think we all really needed that. So let's see, a couple more. It's okay to not be okay. I want to remind you all of that. Sometimes, some days, you're not going to be okay. And that's okay. It really is. You don't have to always be on. You don't have to always be perfect and doing the right thing and working so hard. And sometimes you're going to feel crappy. One of my teachers used to say emotions are like muscles. Sometimes they just need to stretch. Sometimes you're going to be sad and mad and scared and worried and stressed. And it's okay not to be okay. Let's see. What should I end it with? Embrace your weirdness. How about that? I am weird. I am a weird human. And I have learned to really love that about me, because I don't have to take myself too seriously, and I can recognize that it's okay to be weird. And I'm a good kind of weird. And it's caused me to really strike out in the world and try to be someone who can help others heal. And I love that about myself. So feel free to steal any of them on my board. And I highly recommend, if you have never made a meditation, inspiration, aspiration, manifestation, affirmation board, do it. Do it. Cut out some pictures, write some words, put something up that you can look at every day that's going to remind you of some inspirational things that help you keep going. So, all right. I know I've gone long. It's only supposed to be 15 minutes. I will take a look, see if there's any other questions. Susan Fick said, excited about the MRT testing. Got it started today. Yay, good for you. I did that too. And it's something that I have found super helpful. I found out that I was highly inflamed by a couple of really weird things. One was bananas. And so I've stopped eating bananas, and I've cut out some of the other things that came up in my testing. And a lot of the discomfort I was feeling on the daily that can manifest in many different ways for a lot of people. Sometimes it's chronic pain, sometimes it's headaches, sometimes it's constipation, sometimes it's diarrhea. It can be so many things. And I can just tell you, it's made a huge difference in my life. So I'm super happy about that. Karma said, definitely working on not rushing through life. Thank you for the reminder. You're welcome. And she also said, I'm always trying to embrace some weirdness. If you're too much for somebody, they can go find less. I love that. And I always think to myself, like, you know, if I'm too much for somebody, then they're not my people. And that's okay. They're someone else's people. Someone else is their people. And fortunately, I'm very lucky that I have people that embrace my weirdness. Like all of you, clearly. Let's see. You're my favorite weirdo. You're my favorite weirdo. Yay! Susie said, thank you. We'll take your wonderful advice. You're very welcome. I hope I haven't missed anyone. This is everyone that I see that has made any comments. But if I have, then I tell you what, I will check back and I will answer your questions. And as always, I love you all. Take care of yourself for me because you're doing good things. So just keep at it. Okay. See you on Monday.